New favorite muscle and massage therapist? What the heck's going on around here? Hello, and welcome back to another episode with Panda Wrath and Mr. Tango. Yeah, it's been a minute since we put out a video. We've been crazy busy over here. Business has been good. There have been a numerous amount of crises. There's been a lot going on. There's been mayhem, but it's been good. It's been fantastic. Happy to be in front of the camera here, back with you again making another video. Today, as the intro implied, we're going to be talking about Raph's new favorite muscle and a new massage therapist on the scene that's caught my attention and I think is just, she's so talented and just so worth talking about. So we're going to talk about those two things here today, so stay tuned. First, let's go ahead and get into my new favorite muscle. Let's talk about that first. If you've been keeping up with me up until this point, you know that psoas major and the SEM muscle here are definitely the top of my list when it comes to favorite muscles. When it comes to massage therapy, those muscles are so wildly overlooked that it's really a shame because they have a radical effect on the body when worked. In fact, it's one of those things that it couldn't even, maybe it wasn't the culprit of the pain. You could still work it. It's still going to have a positive effect. It's just those muscles are awesome like that. So why do I have a new favorite muscle? Well, I've been staring at it for years now because it's a big, giant, superficial muscle. I've always liked it, don't get me wrong, but why is it now at the point of being my favorite muscle? Well, let's talk from a couple of different standpoints here. Let's talk first from a functional perspective. The latissimus dorsi muscle, or lats as a lot of us refer to them, is a back muscle that has a lot of function on the shoulder here. In fact, if you've ever done a pull-up or any kind of pulling type of motion, this muscle is probably active along with some other muscles, but this is the big major one. Now, from a functional standpoint, not only does it pull, especially from above our head, but with how it attaches to the spine, and it attaches to a lot of the spine, right? So you could think from mid-back, relatively where your bra strap's at, all the way down to your low back and sacrum. That's where it originates from, and it comes out here to the shoulder. It's a really big deal in weightlifting, powerlifting, that sort of thing, when you need to brace your spine. By utilizing the lats, by getting that muscle to fire, you basically have this big brace that is wrapped around your spine that's going to help stabilize it. And with the spine being more stable, you can move more weight. So in other words, stronger lats means a stronger you. And I could add to that as well by saying stronger lats and stronger glutes, right? So if you look at the thoracolumbar aponeurosis, this is a flat piece of fascia across the low back. And that's really all that means, is it connects the thorax and lumbar region. If you look around this big piece of fascia, you're going to find that it blends together really well with the lats and the glutes. So if you want a strong back, lats and glutes, start doing some work on them. Now for me, in a functional standpoint, like somebody who really enjoys powerlifting and weightlifting, it seems as though the lats are kind of overlooked a lot of the time when we're talking kind of in a general sense. Like you always hear about the bench press, you always hear about the deadlift. And don't get me wrong, the deadlift will give some lat stimulation. It is still a good exercise for the lats. But I find that full range of motion is kind of like the frosting on the cake, so to speak. Like I want to reach my arms all the way above my head, get a good stretch on those lats, and then pull through. And for me, it's made a huge difference in my posture, in my shoulder health, in my back health, just how I move in general. So that's something that I really appreciate because it's not like this big, wild compound movement or anything. No, you're just doing pull-ups, right? Or you're pulling a cable down, and it's pretty simple. There's a lot of variations, don't get me wrong, but it's one of those things that particularly in massage school, we didn't stress strong lats, right? That just wasn't a thing, right? We talked about glute medius and how that could be weak and causing low back pain, but we never really got into lats all that much. Let's move on to a massage therapy standpoint, right? Like working this muscle. So I was working with the massage therapist I'm going to talk about here in a second, and I introduced her to some subscap work. Now, subscap and latissimus dorsi are very close to each other in terms of attachment and even in function. But really, what I'm trying to say here is I brought her attention to the armpit region, the axillary region right here. And of course, your lats are going to run up right through here. In fact, they give you that wing look when you have your arm above your head, right? That's that big muscle that comes out right here. Subscap is just deep in here. It's just in front of the scapula now. So you have these big muscles in here, this axillary region, so overlooked, so important to work, right? So if I'm dealing with somebody who's got like some medial rotation to the shoulders, this internal rotation, right? They're probably gonna have a lot of neck pain, upper back pain, right? In fact, if you can find that superior angle of the scapula, that medial region right there, there's a lot of pain that tends to pop up right there. And my theory is it irritates the bursa, right? There, that little cushion that's right there, and due to like the stress of the posture. Working the pecs, pec minor is going to allow that scapula to fall back. Pec major is going to allow the shoulder to roll back. But you can supplement this work in a huge way by working the subscap and the lats. Yeah, the lats are actually going to produce that same medial or internal rotation that the pecs can. Now, earlier I said when I was working out this muscle, though, that my posture got better. So what's going on there? My theory there is when we're strengthening the lats, we're also strengthening the other posterior shoulder muscles, like your posterior deltoid, your teres muscles. Infraspinatus is probably going to get some action there, especially if you're pulling out this way. So there's a lot of variations to how the shoulder moves, and those muscles are going to get some beautiful benefits along with working the lats. So although it does attach to the same place as pec major, and it does technically have some of the same movements, we'll find that, well, the pecs are notorious for being a pressing muscle, and the lats are notorious for being a pulling muscle, right? So although they have the same same insertions, their origins make a really big difference. Fun fact, if you wanted to work these muscles at the same time, I don't know what the desire would be there to do that, but pullovers are surprisingly targeted towards the lats and pecs. So if I were to take a weight as I'm laying down and bring it over my head and pull it over, right, in that hyper stretch position with the pecs and lats, they're technically both being used. Now, I wouldn't call it a pec and lat stretch. I would call it, a pec and lat exercise. I'd call it a lat exercise, but there is some pec activation there. Moving on now, another aspect to the lats muscle that makes me like it so much. So, like I mentioned before, I've gotten into some weightlifting, some powerlifting. I'm really about the function of what I'm doing, not necessarily the aesthetic of it. My principle is that form will follow function. Like if I lift enough weights, I'm going to look like I lift enough weights, right? It's not going to be this. I've never really focused on bodybuilding techniques or bodybuilding regimes. It just hasn't been my thing. I don't necessarily knock it, but I've always found that my energy is better used with some of the bigger compound movements that aren't associated with bodybuilding. Now, that being said, I think we all kind of have this, at least this small aspect where we want to like look in the mirror and feel good about it, right? We want to feel good about ourselves. And for me, I notice there are times where I do focus on my physique a little bit. Like the arms are getting a little bit bigger, so I'm like, okay,
Well, maybe I'll focus on arm exercises a little bit more.
right? Like you kind of enjoy those results a bit. Now, for me, I always like the look of having a big chest. I mean, most men do. But what I noticed was in a lot of bodybuilders, particularly like bronze era bodybuilders, like you think pre-steroid bodybuilders, right? A lot of those guys had flat chests, but they looked like they had big chests. And when you look at them, it's the lats, it's the delts, and it's the lats. It's that appearance of wideness that gives them a look of a really big chest, right? So it's almost like almost like a cheat, right? Like if you're trying to look big and buff and your chest just won't develop, start stimulating some lat muscles and you're going to look like you have a bigger chest. In fact, There is a tool out there, an exercise tool. You can Google it right now. It's called the chest expander, right? It's going to have 2 handles and a bunch of springs in the middle of it. Now, as we said before, the pecs are notorious for the bench press, right? Not necessarily a pulling muscle, right? And it's a bunch of springs right there. So why would that make any sense? Well, early on, I want to say like in the 1930s, your chest was considered to be not just here, but your shoulders and your upper back as well. I don't know why, but that's what they spoke to being as the chest. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Like, your chest looks bigger when your shoulders and your back looks bigger. So it all kind of plays a role in some way. Nowadays, most people would not refer to it like that. So that's my point. But what I'm trying to say is, on an aesthetic level, developing your lats can really change how you look. Like, for me, it took a long time to click that all this in here can make all this look bigger and better. So again, Living Kinetics is not focused on bodybuilding and aesthetics, but I don't know, it's kind of fun to talk about, isn't it? So that's the lats for me, and that's why I love them so much. And personally, I've always been really bad at pull-ups and a lot of pulling motions. So now that I'm getting stronger and getting better at all that, like, I'm even kind of getting that excitement of like just, it's awesome. You know, there's things I haven't been able to do that I'm now able to do. And on top of that, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't put this in the functional aspect. Whenever I see any good shoulder warm-ups for the bench press, they're all posterior movements, right? They're all movements lifting backwards, oddly enough, or like lateral rotations. And the point around that is they're trying to warm up everything that's going to support those pressing muscles. Like, obviously you should warm those up too, but it's those pulling motions that are going to help. So yeah, that's my new favorite muscle. I'll just be blasting lats all day now. This is what I do. But now I say, we start talking about this new massage therapist. So, Megan McInroy. She's been doing this for about 3 years now. I had her out to the office, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago. I was seeking out some work, and as a lot of you know, I see Michelle Monday and Michelle Peterson for a lot of my work. But I wanted to switch it up a little bit. You know, I kind of wanted to like open up my network, meet some people, and she had actually been introduced to me by another massage therapist named 𝑗ay There was an event that I just couldn't work, and I'm so sorry, Tango just bopped him in the head. There was an event I couldn't work, and he introduced me to her, and she was able to pick up the slack for me. And it's really cool that it worked out like that, because I feel like that's what our relationship's going to develop into. She's looking to build up her schedule a little bit. I think it's already relatively full, but I think there's a few spots in there that we can fill for her. I know a lot of the time there's a little bit of frustration when we can't get in with Linda or I. So she's kind of filling that role, like picking up some of the overflow. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her. First and foremost, I felt so safe being on the table. And I know it's kind of like funny, like coming from like a 200-pound guy, like feeling safe, but it's a big deal for me to be able to be on the table and just relax and just open up. For somebody's presence to bring that out I think is a really important thing, particularly as a massage therapist. Her technique, it can grow, and we're actually working on that together. However, oh man, it's so good, especially for someone who's only been doing this for 3 years. Now, you might think back about a previous video I did about massage therapists at the 3-year mark and how they're typically like way too full of themselves. They're too confident. They don't take feedback well, and that has not been the case with her at all. Like, when I first met her and asked her how long she's been doing this, I was really surprised at the 3-year remark. I would have put her closer to 7, maybe even 8 years. She's very talented. So we're going to have her contact information up on the screen for you. Another thing that I really, really, really like about her. So here at Living Kinetics, we're starting to develop this more movement with massage, right? Of course, we're doing the massage part really well, but we're finding that without the movement aspect, the work just isn't sticking as well. Well, she does boot camps. So here at Living Kinetics, we do one-on-one training at the gym. She teaches classes, right? And on top of that, much like we do here, she integrates massage into these classes. So in your workout, you're getting some kind of sports massage, which is like unbelievable to me. It's awesome. So definitely somebody that I want on the team, somebody that I want you to know. I want to say recently she started offering discounts for teachers. Check out her page. Don't quote me on that. Check out her page. You should check out her page anyways. She's awesome. But I did want to bring your attention to her, as you're probably going to see her on our website. We're going to put an affiliate page there for her. So if you forget some of the information of this video, we're going to have it posted for you anyways. I should also add that much like here at Living Kinetics, she has an office and she's also mobile as well. So I think that opens up a lot of availability for anyone who needs to get out of the house or doesn't want to leave, right? Like you've got the best of both worlds there. So check her out. She's wonderful. I've been seeing her for the past couple of months and I've been getting amazing results. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I appreciate all of you so much. I appreciate your attention. Did I mention I wrote a book? I feel like I talk about that all the time. So maybe check that out because I think it's pretty good. I mean, no. It's pretty good. It's good. I'm coming out with a part 2 at some point, to be determined. It might not be ever, but it's, it's on the books. Thank you so much. I so look forward to hearing from you. I hope you reach out to Megan. I hope you buy my book. I hope you start working your lats. And I'll see you in the next video. Love you all so much. Take care.